fun people, welcome to the Push to Shout Funcast, where we have lots of fun with you guys. Skippy, have you been having fun this week?
I've been having fun this week.
That's really fun.
Yeah.
Good night, everybody.
Did I talk about Inside last week?
Inside.
The Limbo 2?
Oh, yeah.
I had to talk about
You
it.
said that there was a good part in it.
Yeah, okay. Then I don't have anything else to say about that. I'm starved for ideas about what we're going to talk about this week because I've spent 4 out of the last 7 days on a race weekend.
Yeah.
Racing cars, being a racist.
It's been busy times, but fun times. I went kayaking yesterday.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's been a while, and I always enjoy that. And it started thunderstorming, severe thunderstorm, pitch black sky, just like sideways rain while we were right out on the water. And so we like booked it to try to get to shore and get to shelter, because sitting out on an open body of water is not exactly where you want to be once Zeus starts throwing his lightning bolts down
probably not.
smite the sinners.
We almost got hit by a thunderstorm while we were out on the racetrack, and that's kind of the same story. When you're out there, you don't want it to start pouring down rain. But it avoided us. I don't have anything to say really about my race weekend because it was kind of boring actually. Messed up qualifying because my car had alignment issues, and then the rest of the weekend was just uneventful races from mid-pack.
So you'd say it was your car was out of whack. That was the problem.
Yeah,
Okay.
not me.
All right, I understand.
I'm always in my whack. What?
Speaking of whacking off, I want to show everybody, because I described it last week, how I finished Rhythm Heaven's challenges, and the only thing left is a the only thing left is a painful slog and like some self-imposed challenge. I'll start with the actual fun part. The self-imposed like challenges now are just increasing my score gradually. So right now I'm trying to get above a 91 on every game, and you might say, hey, that doesn't sound all that hard. No respect at all, you might say, as you do all the time. And to you, Skippy, I say there's a pretty big gap between the different scores as you approach 100. So you can perfect a song and still only get an 88. It's all about precise timing. So yeah, that's what I'm working on now.
For when you get like a perfect beat as opposed to like a non-perfect?
So the bottom screen, like there's these little splashes that appear, and depending on like where they originate from, left is too early, right is too late, and dead center, it's all colorful and there's more stars in it. So that's fun. But now I want to show you something that's not fun, and I have it right here for the gang to enjoy. So this is the Goat Pachinko. I talked about this last week, but I think it needs to be seen to be believed. So right now, Rhythm Heaven, one of my favorite series ever. This is what's standing between me and completion right now.
Sorry, audio listeners.
They can hear. It doesn't sound all that happy.
They wouldn't be able to see if they were watching.
I can't see it either. You know what?
You have to hold it really close.
I haven't given up hope.
Or turn off your monitor.
Yep. Oh, that's a good idea. All right, monitor's going off, so you'll have to trust me here. I can't even see what's going on, but maybe you can.
Not
This
really.
is a fucking goat. Do you see the whatever? No. Okay, Jesus, there's a goat just sitting down there, and listen, you can't see how smug he is.
This podcast is already a disaster.
It's fun. We're having fun.
Well, I was gonna mention how glad I am we're doing it on Sunday night now instead of like Thursday night, because it feels much. It's like I'm relaxing after the weekend.
Yeah.
Get your beer out, chill with the folks, all that stuff.
The gang.
Someone in chat says that I was going to show them something and they want to know what it was. It has to wait.
Is it your pee-pee?
It's coming. It's not my pee-pee.
Oh,
It's nothing like that.
Shucks.
But you'll have to be patient on that.
But anyway, I haven't forgotten about this goat. You'll have to just picture this smug, looking asshole. Like, imagine the smuggest motherfucker you've ever seen. That's the goat. And he just sits there bobbing up and down, and you have to feed him like thousands of onions that you have to farm. And it's fucking horrible. I don't know why this is in the game. It's well. So,
I've only got one other thing to talk about other than racing.
Yeah.
That I can remember. Daredevil. I needed something to watch in 2 hours I had after a big long race day while I'm in the hotel room. So I put on Daredevil because, people have always said nice things about it. I've heard such great things about how good it is. And surprise, surprise, they're all wrong. It's not that good. It's not awful. It's probably about what you would expect from a superhero television show, I guess. So do you know what the concept of Daredevil is?
Yeah, I watched it.
Oh,
Wait a minute. You're talking about the Netflix show?
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
I didn't know you watched it. We talked about it.
Yeah. You're talking about season 1, I'm assuming?
Yeah, I'm like 5 or 6 episodes into season 1.
Yeah.
So far, I'm not impressed.
It's the action, especially like in the second episode,
It's decent.
is really good. The second episode's like ending hallway scene. That action scene's exceptional, but nothing else really reaches that level at all. And the rest of it is, it's fine.
My problem with the show is conceptually kind of its core gimmick, which is his whole thing is that he's blind and that he's got super hearing and senses and all that shit.
Yeah.
It would be really interesting if his blindness was a weakness, and he was a superhero with severe weakness being blindness that he has to overcome.
What?
Instead,
what do you mean?
Instead, his blindness has no bearing on anything that happens except like in conversations with other characters talking about him being blind. When he's especially in a fight scene or something, he's just grabbing shit and banging people over the head, and there's no. Him being blind has absolutely no effect on any of the action or anything in that. Like, it's just he might as well not be blind.
Hold the phone there.
Okay, I'm holding the phone.
Yeah, keep your hands on that phone. So, I kind of agree with you, where the blindness is not a disability for him, obviously. But I can't really get behind like a superhero just trying to overcome blindness, like just regular blindness. But I guess if there was some drawback to it, they do a better job of that in season 2. They're like these ninjas. There's these ninjas who can like hide their heartbeats, so you can plainly see them, but he can't figure out where they are. So yeah, they kind of do a better job of that later.
Here's the thing: it would be interesting. I'm not saying that it has to focus on him overcoming a disability. It's just that. So there's a scene where there's a bunch of Russians and they're in a car park or whatever, a car parking garage. The lights shut off, and oh no, he's here. The Daredevil's here, and he's sneaking around the outside, and he'll like throw shit and like hit people in the head and stuff, and they can't find him. How do you find the light switch? I don't know. How the fuck?
It's like bats. He's like a bat. He's got sonar. He knows where shit is.
My point is, he should have to be creative in order to make people like make sounds or something, so that he can. There should be some element that makes
he could go
that makes his blindness actually affect what's happening, but instead it's completely.
He could go like Marco, and then all the bad guys would say Polo, and it's
exactly. There's a scene in particular. I think this is where I kind of threw my hands up and went, "Oh my god!" And I know he plays up his blindness, I guess, like with the stick and everything. But there's a scene where he's walking around with the stick, like on the city streets, and then he hears something going on, or gets a phone call or whatever, and just takes off on a full sprint and turns down an alley and jumps up on a fence and then jumps on the roof. And how does he know where to grab things? How does he know there's not something to trip over? It just drives me fucking crazy.
The idea is that he's kind of like a bat. He's got echolocation, and he can pinpoint where shit is.
See what's around him. It's just And it's not the suspension of. I mean, obviously, it's a fucking superhero television show. I'm willing to suspend my disbelief a ton. Like, I'm willing to grasp that he can smell people through walls and all that shit. It's just the fact that they have a thematic element that seems to be pretty core to the show, that he's blind, and they don't do anything with it at all.
Yeah. Well, okay. I don't think season 2 is. I don't want to be like, oh, just wait till season 2, man. It's all better in season 2. But specifically the blindness thing.
Yeah, I mean, I
that
saw you
sucks.
clearly and heard you clearly that whole time.
Anyway, like if you're
Anything that's missing will be added to the audio version.
I'm getting a new router, so this won't be a problem next week. New router and modem. Anyway, so like he gets concussed, and they start like showing you how that works, not with like a world on fire where everything just has like a red filter over it, and it's still perfectly the same as regular vision. It's a little subtler where it'll like zoom in on things and like amplify sounds, like it's like the rim of a glass and some air coming out of a fan and like blowing over things. And
it's just when you see that potential that the show has, where clearly, I mean, it's got great directing, it's got fantastic choreography and everything, and it's just like the writing to me just misses the mark and doesn't really play to the strengths of the concept of that superhero being an interesting thing, because he has a weakness, which is blindness, or he should have a weakness, but instead he's in a room and he's on the phone with a nurse and he's saying, hey, I need to stabilize this injured guy, and she's like, what items do you have around him? And he closes his eye, or not closes his eyes, but he senses everything around him, and he starts just naming off a list of objects that are in the room, and she's like, oh, grab the road flares that are in the room, and he walks over and grabs the road flares, and it's like, why is he even blind? He's not. It could be a really interesting scene if, like, oh, he has to like feel around for shit. That could be interesting and like tense, because holy shit, this guy's bleeding out on the floor and he needs to help him. But instead, it's just like,
but he has to be super, and it's not always good in Daredevil.
Yeah, I mean, I don't hate it, and I'll probably keep watching it, but
yeah, it's a very watchable show.
Because I had no idea. I mean, except from I guess what you told me in the podcast that I apparently forgot. I didn't really know much about the show, and then I started figuring out what the concept was, and I was like, oh, this seems really cool. And then it seems like they kind of throw away the stuff that I thought would be interesting, but whatever. I don't have anything else.
I got a couple things
to say.
So, guys, this is the Fun Movie Podcast, the Fun Televisual Entertainment Podcast, excluding video games podcast. I saw Star Trek Beyond, and
I saw you tweet about it.
Dude, I'm gonna preface this by saying I actually liked the 2 reboot movies.
Me too.
They're not great, but they're good.
Despite themselves, they're good. I mean, as someone who does like Star Trek a lot, not so much like the original series, which I guess they're kind of playing homage to, but like They don't do a good job of capturing what makes Star Trek good, but they do their own thing really well.
Exactly. I totally get that it's not true to Star Wars, and it's just a big action movie. I understand all that, but they're fine action movies in space. I just wanted to say that, because it's not like, oh, this is just a big dumb action movie, and that's why I hate it. Star Trek Beyond is one of the worst movies I've ever seen in a theater. The only movie I can remember that I've seen worse movies, like I've seen Jack and Jill, but
Oof.
I didn't see those in the theater. The only movie that I can think of that was worse is Babylon AD with Vin Diesel, which was miserable. But that also didn't have this kind of budget, or like it didn't have the pedigree either. I don't even know how to explain why it was so miserable, but everything about the movie was misery. It was so long, first of all. I looked afterwards, and it was only like a flat 2 hours, but it just felt like it never ended. Every scene was really long, and it's not like a complicated movie. As soon as the scene starts, you know exactly what's going to happen in the scene, and it never plays out any differently. So it just feels like, please move on.
Is this one not directed by
It's
J.J.
not.
Abrams?
It's directed by the director of the Fast and Furious.
Oh.
Uh, that didn't show through as much as you'd think, or like if you want it to be funny bad, you'd like it to. It's
Yeah,
not
Fast
like
and Furious has like a sense of humor about itself.
Exactly.
I guess, that
it's not like, oh, he just turned it all around and now it's a completely different style. It's just poorly executed in every way. I know that these movies are basically all shot in front of green screens, but it's never looked worse than it does in this movie. Like, everything looks so, like, plastic. It looks like a Star Wars prequel, honestly. Like, you're not in a place. Even if it's just this conference room, no one's there. It takes place nowhere. God, what was the point, even? There's a bad guy. I'm going to spoil this, by the way, because it's just so outrageously dumb that you'll probably not even believe me, so it won't even spoil you. The alien, the big bad alien guy, his name is Kral, and he, like, sucks people's souls out of them.
that's a good bad guy name.
Yeah, well, the bad alien guy he's just a black guy. He's just a black dude. He got a really fucked up face.
Is he a whatchamacallin with the foreheads?
No, he's a human black guy. And you find that out like 5 minutes before the end of the movie, and they try to give him a character. And I was paying attention. I was really, because by that point I was just so shocked by how awful everything was that I really wanted to catch every detail.
Is it like a Wizard of Oz moment where, like, oh, you think he's gonna be this big bad alien?
No, because in The Wizard of Oz, they don't figure out that the wizard is not as he seems by looking at a tape and going, wait a minute, go back, zoom in, enhance, zoom in, oh, that's a real scene.
Well, that's a scene in Blade Runner too, and it's great. So, what do you have to
Yes,
say about
this
that?
movie is just as good as Blade Runner. I also like the scene in Blade Runner where 8 Captain Kirks on motorcycles were zooming all around, and I couldn't even tell what was going on the screen, and they started, like, shooting up, like, rocks behind them or some kind of... I couldn't even tell what it was because it looked like, like mini golf courses, how they have things that look like rocks, but they're clearly just like plaster or something.
Are you sure you didn't see like an Asylum Films?
It felt like that,
thing
man.
Of Star Trek.
It really felt like that. Like, and then okay,
Star
so
Hike.
the basic premise of the movie is that the Enterprise crashes on a desolate alien planet. There's a bad guy there, and they have to leave and protect the Earth or whatever, or the place. I don't even know what it's called. It's, well, they crash into the planet. Everyone gets separated. But they encounter no obstacles at all on their way back to each other. So there's just a whole bunch of scenes of them separated, and they're doing like nothing, and just walking around.
But
And
they're building character.
no, they're not.
They're isolated
It
with
was
each
awful.
other, so they have conversations that they wouldn't have otherwise. It's building character.
And it's not like they're being resourceful or something. That might be an interesting thing. Like, without their spaceship, how are they going to get home? Well, there's a cool alien babe with an invisible spaceship that she's been hiding just until now. So fucking gross, that movie. I couldn't even tell you what the bad guy was trying to do. I don't know what the point of anything was. And it just sucked. It's a shitty movie. Really
All right.
bad. Really, really bad.
That's a little disappointing, I guess. They haven't marketed that one nearly as hard as they marketed the others, I've noticed.
There's an actual
I didn't even
scene.
know it was out.
I tweeted this too, but there's an actual scene where Spock, he takes a photo, and it's a photo of the original Star Trek cast. Like, in their shitty red costumes and
From the other
William,
dimension.
exactly, William Shatner, looking a little pudgy, and
Really?
Spock looking, and they're all just sitting there. It's like the classic cast photo. It looks
Yeah.
cheesy because it's from a '60s television show. And Spock looks at the picture, and then he gazes up at the stars, and I swear a single tear rolled down his cheek, but I might have been just hallucinating by that point. And then they do that thing. How every terrible movie, they'll end with like the entire cast saying something together and like switching off parts of the lines as they go. So like the end of this movie is like, space, the final frontier.
Oh, no.
We boldly go where no man has gone before. I like that movie had my head in my hands so often,
Jesus.
and it's not like I hate these movies. It's not like, oh, they're not true. No, it's because it's a shitty movie. The others were fine.
I kind of have to see it. I'm just fascinated.
You'll
Yeah.
probably not. I haven't found anybody who's disliked it as much as me. I think,
Yeah.
but I can't see it otherwise. Like,
Yeah. Or you should go on. You should go on Netflix or whatever and watch The Next Generation. There's a lot of episodes. It's a lot of good stuff.
maybe.
It's a better experience.
But I did. Okay, speaking of Netflix, I started watching Stranger Things.
Oh, I've heard a lot about this show.
Yeah, I'm only like 3 episodes in, but it's pretty good.
Is it nostalgic?
It's less nostalgic than it is playing it straight, which is nice. I also used to live in Indiana, where it takes place, and they really nailed like the look of the town and the locations, and it looks a lot like where I used to live, or some of the areas around where I used to live. But yeah, it's a nice little mystery. It's spooky. It's well acted. And at first I thought it was going to be like one of those anthology series, because it starts out with like a whole bunch of spooky stuff going down and paranormal shenanigans. And I thought, because I knew nothing about the show going in, I thought it might be, I'd never seen it, but like American Horror Story, where it's like a different
Yeah.
thing. Well, it's not. It's like a nice little story that's building, and it's not exactly a slow burn either. So far, every episode has had like major events and reveals.
Yeah.
Who knows if it'll keep that up, but if it does, I'd be really impressed, because it's a pretty satisfyingly paced mystery.
Okay. Cool. I might have to check that out because the sound of it kind of like it seems like, I guess, it's supposed to be kind of like one of those 80s, late 80s, early 90s sci-fi kind of X-Files almost. I don't know,
Yeah,
it seems
yeah.
like it's drawing inspiration from a ton of different little things and trying to stay true to the kind of feeling of that time period, I guess.
Yeah, I wouldn't say you're wrong to say that. But I'd just like to point out that it's less like going for that style or imitating the style of the time,
Yeah.
and it's more just set in that time. So
Okay.
there's lots of like details and things from that time period, but it's not shot like one of those or
Okay.
edited or directed like one. It feels
Okay.
like a modern. It feels like a very long movie, separated in chapters, that was made today, but very well about the 80s. So yeah, it's pretty good.
All right. Cool. Now what?
I finished Doom.
Oh.
Did you?
Good?
Did you finish it?
I haven't played it.
What?
I haven't bought it.
I could have sworn you did. Wait
No.
a minute. Did you
No.
play the free demo?
No.
Oh man, dude, you gotta play it.
I know.
It's great.
Yeah. I missed out on the Steam sale, and yeah, I need to play it.
That was like the
No.
perfect time. That price too.
Yeah, it
Was-
was good. I should have. I don't know why. I don't know why I didn't get it, because I knew I would like it. So.
Well, I finished it. I won't tell you how it ends. It's not like a big spoilery kind of game, but it's just
Sure.
so nice and cheesy that it's nice to see it for yourself.
Yeah.
But it stayed great all the way through. Probably the best game I've played this year, that came out this year. Yeah. Doom. And now we're fucked.
Now we're truly out of things to talk about.
Okay. What about the
there hasn't
Kojima
been-
thing?
I don't know much about. I heard his logo has an animation now. Is that the news? Is that the news that we're stretching for?
Yeah, and it does feel like a stretch. It kind of reminds me of George R.R. Martin, how he's been handling the Winds of Winter, that is
Are you
probably
saying they're
never going to
working
come out.
together again?
Yes, again. Guillermo del Martin and Kojima are working on a
Finally,
new Game of
They're
Thrones
back together.
at last. But it reminds me of how he's been like releasing this latest book piecemeal, where as soon as he finishes a chapter, he puts it online as this is a sample of what I'm gonna do. But it's just like, what are you even doing? Just finish
I
the
didn't know he did
product.
that.
He has been, where he's just been posting like chapters to read.
It's like early access for.
It does
books.
feel like early access, that vibe. Except you don't pay for it, which, you know, only in the feeling of you don't have anything to show yet. That's kind of what I feel like Kojima's doing here.
I guess. I mean, it hasn't even been clear if this stuff that he's showing is related to a game he's making or not. Really.
Yeah,
Like,
we
it's
don't.
supposed to show the vision of the company and shit like that. And okay.
Yeah, we don't know anything about Ludens, or even if he's just a mascot. Maybe he is just a mascot, like
Yeah.
Danger Dog, or Danger Dog's not a mascot.
I think the Ludens thing looks kind of lame.
Yeah, I like it. Fuck
Yeah.
you,
Okay.
pal. But it does feel like every second, or not second, but every time he finishes something to show, he's like, hey, look.
Yeah.
I thought he wouldn't do that. Like back before Metal Gear Solid 5 came out, I figured like he's holding back. But really, every cutscene in the game is featured in the trailers.
Yeah.
He doesn't, maybe like plot events, but as far as like stuff to show you, there weren't many gameplay mechanics or
That was part of
locations
what made it disappointing, is that like you pretty much knew everything about that game before it came out, weirdly enough, and you thought you didn't.
And the problem is, it feels like it's almost like a habit of his now.
We'll see.
Because the trailer that we saw at E3, it was very cool, but there was no game engine, no gameplay.
We don't even know if that represents anything about
Exactly,
the game.
right.
It might not even be the title of the game.
And now it's been made into a press event, the splash screen for the games. It's like if Valve held a press conference and it's like, check this out, and then it was just the guy with the valve in his head, boom, boom, and what
But
did you like it?
It's not related to the game itself, so maybe when he starts actually working on game stuff, he's not gonna release all that.
I heard they did talk about stuff though, but I didn't read that stuff because I don't want to know about Death Stranding, because this
You
time,
inevitably will.
well, yeah, but
Yeah.
this time I don't really trust Kojima to withhold the information that should be withheld from me.
I mean, I still don't even trust Kojima to make a good game. I don't know how much of Metal Gear Solid 5 was his fault.
Well, maybe, but PT was
PT seems really cool.
incredible.
Yeah.
PT was incredible. So I think Metal Gear Solid 5 was a fluke, and even though it was a fluke, it was still great.
Yeah,
So
that's true. You're right.
Whatever.
Right. It'll be good in some significant way. It just also might be really disappointing in another significant way.
yeah, I might not be able to resist the temptation to watch a new Death Stranding trailer if it comes out, but I'll at least act superior about it right now.
Right.
Before
Right,
there's
that's
any
what's important.
stakes. So
All right. There's been nothing happening this week, at least that I know. I
Nothing?
watched.
Then
I watched.
Pokemon Go has changed the way we
I
interact.
was
Did you
gonna
not get the
mention
memo?
Pokemon Go. I was going to mention Pokemon Go because I saw a few streams of people. It's become a trend now to stream yourself playing Pokemon Go, walking around in the streets, playing it, and acting like a fool. It is bizarre and crazy. There's a great video going around of a guy streaming himself at night in a park, and he's talking to some people like that are kind of far away, and he starts walking, and then you just hear like rushing wind noise and then a splash. He fell like into a fountain, I guess.
That's great.
It was like, dude, I did not realize that was water. And I mean, apparently he just
I
dunked.
didn't realize that was water.
Yeah, and the stream kept going, so that's pretty good. That game is making people look like real idiots, which is pretty fun. They came out with the character art for the teams.
Oh yeah, great.
That's the big update that they've been working on. finally the game is complete.
Yep.
Finally.
Pack it up.
It's the true version.
Speaking of that, Starbound is now like officially going live, or whatever they call leaving early access.
Everyone stopped caring about that game.
Well, yeah, but it happened. So
I still stand by. It's still just a more featured Terraria.
I don't think it's more featured. I think it's differently featured. But
I just remember people were trying to defend that game as like not being Terraria, and I'm looking at it.
Oh yeah. No,
that's fucking Terraria. I don't know what the hell you're talking about.
Oh yeah, it borrows so much from Terraria. The reason I say it's not a more featured version of Terraria is because Terraria I think has more features.
Well,
like the combat is way better in Terraria, like in every way. It's fun to get new weapons and try them out, and like get the vendors and exploring the dungeon. It's not like a bunch of. It is procedurally generated, but there are like those key milestones, and there's lots of them, and there's always like one immediate goal that you're trying to get. Like, oh, right now I'm trying to get this weapon, and I need these materials to do it, and I need to kill this boss. And there's always like a goal within reach, an immediate goal that has a satisfying payoff, and that's not necessarily true of Starbound.
Well, it is the top seller on Steam, so apparently people do still care about that game.
Oh, because it just went out of early access, so it got
after
pushed to everyone's update page.
How many years has it been in early access?
I think 3 or 4, something like that. Yeah, it's been a while.
Whew. Speaking of procedurally generated space games, No Man's Sky comes out like Monday or Tuesday. No, not that soon. A couple weeks.
Really?
2 weeks. 2 weeks. I thought it was for some reason I thought it was this week, but it's 2 weeks. So that's actually in grasp. People are pre-ordering it. It's like the third top seller on Steam right now.
I don't think I want to watch videos of that because I'm afraid that there's not much more to the game than looking at stuff.
I'm gonna get it, and I think it'll be fun enough to justify its price at least. But I'm trying not to get hopes up too much.
I'll probably hold off.
Yeah, I don't blame you.
Because I'm a grouch.
Yeah.
And I also
hate everything
fun.
Apparently.
Well, I have nothing.
Well, me too. Might be a short podcast this week.
It could be. I've been editing the Earthbound video all day. Not all day, only like an hour. But I've been busy the rest of the day, so it feels like all day. Yeah, I've decided to block out at least 1 hour every Sunday to do that, just so that it actually gets done. I might want to play some video games. I don't know. It's been a while since I've done that.
Yeah, it's been about a week for me.
And do you want to just do that? Like, Blurvercock or something?
I might do that. I might play some video games. I did play some Rocket League.
Fuck video games.
Between last podcast and this podcast, I think. But there's not much to say about it. It's still Rocket League.
Have they been adding features, like significant features?
Or
is it like more
well,
testing?
Since last time I talked about it, I don't think they've added anything. They've added the hoops game mode, which is pretty significantly different. They tweak things, like they kind of make a lot of small updates. There's a map now that has a I guess it's in like Neo Tokyo or something like that, and it has a Japanese announcer. So when you score a goal, it's like goal, and when you get like a save, it's
That's
like
good.
Epic save, and it's the best thing ever. And
is it otherwise just a regular map?
It's fantastic. So that makes the game even better than it was before.
Is it otherwise just a regular map?
No, there's been a map similar to it, at least it's been around for a little while, but it's got it's kind of the same layout as normal, but then there's an outer layer, I guess. Like the wall goes up for a little bit and then comes out again, and there's like side lanes, I guess,
like a lip
that are elevated. Yeah. And I think the area above the goal has like a more smooth curvature where like if you hit the ball, up the sideline, it'll kind of roll over to the goal. It's kind of different. Yeah, that's a fucking cool game. It's a really great game, and that announcer makes it. I wish I could turn on that announcer for all the games, because it's
probably
great.
get annoying after a while.
No, it doesn't. It's fantastic.
If that was every game.
No, it's too good.
Okay, all right, that's good.
Like, I still haven't gotten over how great it is when the ball explodes when you shoot it. So, that game's good.
Oh,
All right.
I saw Kingsman. It was good. Good night.
Oh, really? Okay.
We'll stream probably. I don't know. What do you want to do?
I guess.
Okay. So, do you want to do it on Twitch? Yours or mine? What?
I'll stream on Twitch.
All right. Peace out, guys. Hope you had fun on the fun podcast with no content. Good night.